Hi, it's John here from thenailschool.co.uk. I just want to talk briefly this morning about a problem that people often text me about, and all that is that they often say that they're having difficulty in blending in the acrylic at the infill stage. So I just want to pass on a few little tips of what I do to make sure that this is a really easy thing to do. Right, before I do that, I'm just going to actually prepare this nail here ready for applying tips or just as an overlay. And the first thing I've got to do, obviously, is just file the nail to a shape to enable me to receive a tip. Now you want this edge of this nail to be in the shape of the well of the tip. After filing the nail to receive the tip, or if it was an overlay and they had their own natural nails, I'd just be filing the shape of the nail in to suit the client's wishes. The next thing I would have to do would be to push the cuticles back with a cuticle pusher, holding it very close to the end so that I get a very good contact with the nail plate and the cuticle, and so that I don't sort of hurt my client, and I've got really good control of this. Now when I push back, I can actually release the cuticle off the nail plate, and I can see the actual skin that's growing on the surface of the nail at the back. So I've got to remove that next. To remove the skin that grows on the natural nail, I'm going to use my electric file, or I could use my hand file. But if I'm using my electric file, I would just switch it on, and then you can see it's now running way too fast. So I'm just going to slow it down to number 1 on the speed dial. I'm going to make sure that I just sanitize the fine sanding band that's on there, and then I've now got to work in one direction by just filing away the excess of that cuticle that's building up on the nail plate there. I've got to come up this way, around, with the back of the file more up than down. So I can get right in close to the edges and remove all traces of that skin that's growing on the surface of the nail. I need to then remove the shine off the rest of the tip. Now keep still at the slow speed, which is very, very important. I now work with the back of the file more down than up. So I would then keep it sort of level onto the nail and just file over the surface to remove the shine. Now your own natural nails are slightly porous, so they will be absorbing grease and water from your everyday working life. So we need to just lift the surface, only the surface, just slightly, so that we can actually access those the grease and the liquid that's in the nail plate. But the important thing is to remove all traces of skin off the nail plate, and at this slow speed you're not going to do any damage to the natural nail plate. The nail plate will go this sort of like chalky kind of colour, and then that's prepared. To remove any of the grease that's embedded in the nail plate and to dehydrate this nail plate, I'm just going to use pure acetone, and I'm going to wipe over the nail. As this evaporates, it will just pull moisture out of the nail. So that is now ready for our tip, or as an overlay of acrylic. Now, people who are sending me messages about the fact that they are having trouble blending in the infill line when the acrylic grows out, I suspect the problem is that they're putting the acrylic too thick at the back. So then when the acrylic grows out, you've got a very thick line of acrylic to blend in, which can take some time because obviously acrylic is very hard and strong. So the secret is to put your acrylic on so that it's very thin at the back. Now, the way that I suggest that you do that is that when you place your bead onto the nail plate, that you leave a very small 1mm gap at the back. Take the moisture out of your brush, put your brush into the gap and then pull down the nail, wipe your brush into the gap, pull down the nail, wipe your brush, pull down the nail, wipe your brush, and then just smooth it out a little bit. Now, the very action of putting your brush into that gap, what that does is that it just flows a little bit of acrylic at a very thin layer into and up to the cuticle, but without going over it. If you put your bead of acrylic onto the nail plate and then brush out from on top of the acrylic, which is what people seem to do, is what it does is it leaves a very thickened area at the back. So by just putting your brush into the gap, as I said, and pulling forward, it just smooths out and pushes a little bit of acrylic down into that gap here. Now, I'm not sure how well you can actually see this, but the acrylic has grown out. There's no acrylic here now. This would be your infill. But by using the method I've just shown you, you can see there is no line here as the acrylic grows out. So it's a very simple matter to blend in the back of the nail. Of course, what you do is you just push back the cuticle on the new growth, behind the new growth, trim off excess cuticle if needed. You can then get your electric file and you can just, the new skin area, you can just clean up. And then it's just a matter then of blending in any line on the actual nail itself that you have there. Now, I have changed this bit on the end of the drill here. It's got a rounded top and we call these safety bits. And what enables you to do is to get in quite close, and this smooth top area just does not catch the skin. And these are great for doing infills. So I'm just going to switch the machine on. I've got it set to about number 3, and I'm just going to go along the back area using it quite in a flat method. And I'm just going to come round and just blend in that line. If you have one there, just blend it in so that it's no longer there. And this domed section of this means I can get really close to the sides and so on without doing any damage whatsoever. I can then go over the rest of the nail if I want to, just thinning it out where I feel it needs it. And then by doing it this way, you will have a really nice, smooth, no line left on the actual acrylic. You can also refine it by hand by using your hand file just to finish off. You can use a white block just to finish off the smoothing. And then all it is then is to just primer the new area and then just infill your acrylic at the back by just putting it near to the back. Leave a small gap, take the moisture out your brush, and then just fill in by putting your brush into the gap so that you get that really thin coverage of acrylic at the back of the nail. And then you're ready for next time when it grows out. You'll still have that thin layer at the back. Now obviously if you're doing extensions, you know, obviously you will do them slightly different, but we're only really talking about this back area today, which is the area of concern to some people. How do I smooth in the back? Occasionally you will get a line that is really difficult to eradicate by filing. Sometimes it's still a little bit left there. Now what you can do is you can buy a product called Line Out, and what this is, it says on here, fill line eraser. And once you've done as much filing as you can do, but you've still got a little bit of a line, you put your primer on, and then you just get your line out and just drag it across the line, and then the line itself will disappear. And then it's just a matter of then just applying your acrylic in the way that I showed you before. So that's Line Out. Well worth the investment if you're having problems getting rid of that last little bit of line. Well, I hope that was helpful. Anytime you've got any queries or questions, just post them to me either on our Facebook page or send me an email to john.smith17@sky.com, and I'll see if I can answer any of your questions. See you later. Bye.